Welcome to Lincoln, Nebraska, and a place some of the game's immortals have called home. Johnny the Jet, Frazier, Crouch, Rozier, and many, many more have built this Big Red legacy as this crowd is ready to cheer on their beloved Cornhuskers. We've got a sensational matchup for you. Fans have been filing in and getting ready for this game, as we'll see a squad from the ACC, the NC State Wolfpack, taking on a team from the Pac-12, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports College Football. I'm Reese Davis, David Pollock and Jesse Palmer with me in the booth. Guys, we are ready to tee it up. NC State with the kickoff team on the field and just about ready to start. Let's see what he can get done from inside his own 15. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. Offense set on first down. Out of the shotgun, they go to the ground. At the 35, he's loose. He will step out of bounds, but not before the big pickup and a first down for this offense.
You don't always have to run the sexy plays, right? It doesn't have to always be up-tempo and fast and spread and doing all this stuff. Sometimes you just lower your shoulder. Sometimes you just run powerfully. You get the first down, and that's all that matters.
Pre-snap motion in the backfield. Quarterback touch pass on the jet sweep. And they picked up 9 on first down. It'll bring up second and short.
Well, you got to give the defense a lot of credit on this play because they were doing a nice job understanding who had the football and where they were. So a nice job by the defense rallying around that ball carrier and now not giving up the first down.
Let's see what they've got on second down. They go to the ground. And the Huskers get it past the sticks.
All right, nothing flashy there. He just did what it took to get the first down.
The Huskers with the first and 10. They move the tight end all over. Leaves it with the back. A most efficient pickup of 6 on first down. It's second and 4.
Just a simple power play. Power football. Be strong. Be big. Be physical. Make it a fourth quarter game. Make them feel you. Keep them off balance.
Dropping back, it's Dell. And that's going to be incomplete. A lot of contact on the play, but no flags. It'll be third down.
Yeah, and you use these running backs so much in the passing game now, and you expect them to make those plays for you, to make those big explosive plays out of the backfield. Just got to make sure he concentrates and see that ball come in.
From the shotgun now, here's an inside give. Tough, hard-nosed running. He picks up 3, but stopped just short. It'll be 4th and 1. This offense gets into plus territory. They're going to go for it regardless of their field goal kicker's range. Direct snap. Slammed to the ground, but not before he gets the first down.
Once you get in this range in the football field, do you depend on your kicker? Do you go for it? I think on fourth down, I think you go for it. This is a long field goal, a lot harder attempt. I like the offense going for it here in this situation.
All the way down at the 33-yard line. It's 1st and 10.
Yeah, and a great job by the offensive line, seeing the blitz, picking it up, and then it's on the running back. Running back finds the hole, gets a little bit of a crease, makes a nice run at it.
After the 9-yard pickup on first down, here's 2nd and 1. He's looking to throw. Fires to the tight end. And his molars are probably rattling after that big hit, but he did get the first down.
And listen, I know he just got rocked, but he held onto the football and got the first down. So when he can get up, when he has the strength to get back up, nothing to be worried about. Nice play, nice catch. Don't worry about that big stick. I got the first down. Signal that thing for me and celebrate.
He'll try to pop the draw. Good pickup on that play. It'll bring up 2nd and 4.
Offensive linemen love when you sneak in draws, when you're sneaking screens. It holds these defensive linemen accountable. You want to rush the quarterback, you want to fly upfield every single play, we'll sneak right behind you and get some yardage.
Going to work on 2nd down in the red zone is still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. Leaves it with the running back. Relentless, tough running, gets it down to the 4.
Well, that didn't bust for a long one. Now, 3rd down becomes very manageable. It's not 3rd and eternity. Now the whole playbook, short passing game, long passing game, all of it's available.
Tight quarters deep in the red zone, but they can pick up a first down without scoring. 3rd down. They'll try to sneak it.
Man, I like the call. 3rd and inches, I feel like I can get a few inches. I just need to fall forward, but this defense more than ready for the quarterback sneak.
I think as a play caller, that just makes you second-guess everything. You'd love to think you can just dial up QB sneak to pick up that first down. Now, you're probably going to have to hand it off to the big fella behind you to keep this drive going.
4th down and inches, and you go read any book you want to, any analytical measure, and it will tell you, go for it. Try it on the ground. They stop him short of the marker, and they'll turn it over on downs.
Coaches talk about it all the time. We're going to be aggressive. Well, they were aggressive on that first drive. They go for it on 4th down. No dice. Now you put your defense on the field. I like the aggressiveness, but now you got to deal with some of the consequences.
This offense is so deep in the hole, it looks like the end zone's at the end of the earth. He'll start this drive firing. It's complete on the right side. And they pick up just a few on that completion.
Nice completion here to this wide receiver, and you're going to see this receiver line up in different spots all over the field all game long. Defense has got to keep their eye on where this guy is because they know he's a big part of this offense's success.
Looking to the big tight end. Working the middle. Tackled at the 25, but they get out of jail with a 15-yard pickup.
And you got to love the versatility of the big fella. You can put him in the box and let him block big defensive linemen, or you put him in the slot and you throw him the football and have success.
They'll snap it from the 25 here on first down. And a really nice run and pick up there before the defense avoided disaster and stopped the really big play.
First down, physicality wins football games. Being able to run the football and create balance. And right here, just choose up another first down, gives you another chance to maybe continue to run the football.
And I feel like this guy, too, is just an explosive play waiting to happen. His vision, his quickness, and he's got a burst. If you give this guy just a crease, he's going to hit it. And right now, he's doing some damage on this defense.
And he'll step across the sidelines after making a good gain on that one.
You know, it's funny. I know running backs oftentimes are afterthoughts when it comes to the passing game, but when you think about it, this guy's been making people miss his entire life taking handoffs. So why wouldn't you try to get him involved in the passing game as well? You just saw in that last play how dangerous he is after the catch.
They'll run play action. Feeling some heat. And they'll move the chains and get it to the 47-yard line. First down to start the drive after the break. Looking to move it through the air. He uncorks one deep. And it was worth going for a chunk play, but the long pass is incomplete.
Oh, man. Those are the ones you rewind back on tape over and over again when you watch this tape and you go, how did I miss that? He was so open. You have to hit those plays. There's nothing you can say positive about that.
Looking to throw on second down. This time it's complete. There to make the tackle, but the big throw is good enough to give them a first down.
And there was no question in that scenario. That's where the quarterback was going. He knew he had his receiver in a matchup that he liked, running a route where he would find himself open. Nice job between those two.
Crosses the 30. He's got a lane. He showed it all there. A little elusiveness, a little power, and he's got the first down.
Well, it's a really nice job of the offense mixing it up on this drive. We've seen some nice plays throwing it, and how about that one running it too? Great push up front.
Right back to the well. Headed to the end zone. And he's loose, and he'll take it to the house. Touchdown, Wolfpack!
A big question mark for this offense coming into the year, guys. Who could score touchdowns? Who are going to be their biggest playmakers on offense? This guy scored in the first game. He's off to a great start in this one with that touchdown. This guy looks like the real deal.
And the point after is good. About to kick it off after punching it in for the touchdown. On the run from inside his own 5. And he'll be brought down after a solid effort on that return. And here comes the Nebraska offense back onto the field. On that last drive, 4th and goal didn't exactly work out. They really need to pay it off this time, Jesse.
And they were so anxious and eager to get back on the field. They know they left points on the board. They let that one get away from them. They look like they are pumped up and ready to go here.
And listen, it was a good drive, so you've got to remember that. But they got to realize, I got to get points. When I get in those areas, I got to capitalize. And they wanted a touchdown last time. This drive, they can go make it happen.
Looking to throw, it's Dell. Oh, he's going to try to get it all here. And the ball is caught. He's inside the 35. Huge plays like that can change the complexion of a game, and he's got it at the 22-yard line. An explosive play takes them right outside the red zone, and they've got it 1st and 10. He's looking to throw it. Catch in the middle, it's Williams.
And quarterback receiver on the same page. Nice job seeing the zone, understanding the drag route concept. Easy pitch, easy catch.
The Cornhuskers looking to take advantage of this red zone trip. Movement here from the tight end. The give to the tailback. He'll be down at the 4-yard line after that terrific run.
And that is just an attitude run, running it right up the middle, right into the teeth of that defense.
And the Huskers look to keep this drive humming. They'll run it on 1st and goal. Into the end zone he goes. Touchdown, Cornhuskers! Follow the blocker. The offensive line will take you to the hallelujah land.
And I tell you what, most of the time, Reese, it requires a little bit of skill to find that hole and slither through a little crack. That was not a crack. That was wide open. Didn't take a lot of vision because the blocking was outstanding.
He'll bring it back from inside his 5. He was looking for more running room, but none to be found as he stopped at the 23. NC State sending the offense back onto the field. There wasn't much need to throw it around on that last drive for the touchdown, Jesse. They got it done running the ball.
And David, I don't think you have to overthink this thing. If they can't stop you running it, why would you stop handing it off? Just keep at it here on this drive.
Well, and if I'm the defense, I'm making some changes. I'm bringing in more big bodies. I'm playing more aggressive towards the line of scrimmage. I am not going to let them have that kind of drive again.
The incomplete pass leaves them with second down. He's looking to throw. Gonna take a shot. He's got it down the left side. And they'll do more than move the chains. They'll move that thing more than 30 yards down the field before he's finally stopped. That last big play has them in business. Just outside the red zone, it's 1st and 10. Bought a little time, lets it go. Fires to the tight end. And an absolutely fearless tackle. Giving up size, still got him on the turf. The modest gain on the completion really shows why you want to run the zone. Make them execute and rally to the ball.
100%. Zone eyes on the quarterback. I see him throw the football, break on it, go make tackles, live to fight another down.
And it falls in complete. But it could have been much, much worse as the defender was right there.
Yeah, and I like the shot, the aggressive play down the field. We like throwing those jump balls up to my receiver because usually the receiver makes the play and makes the defender look bad. Nice job by the defender getting a hand on it, tipping that ball away from the wide receiver.
On 3rd and long, he's going to have to throw for it. Makes the grab on the left. They get him down, but this offense is set up 1st and goal from the 9.
And that's a really good example of a quarterback and his intended target both being on the same page. The timing was almost perfect on that play. That's why they were able to convert the 3rd down, now setting up 1st and goal.
They'll go to the air. And his throw is incomplete.
Brings up 2nd and goal.
Defense rose up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long coming. The run up the middle here, looking for a path to the end zone. He works his way all the way down to the 3, and the defense is reeling.
And with the stuff there, Jesse, on 2nd down, this little 3rd to mid-range, you got 2 downs. What are you thinking here?
Maybe getting your quarterback out on the perimeter and giving him a run-pass option. See if you can get the defense in a bind.
We'll take a quick break as we have reached the final 2 minutes of the first half. They've relentlessly moved forward. Now it's getting down to cases. 3rd and goal. Corners showing press. They want to be physical here. Looking to throw on 3rd and goal. Snagged in the end zone. Touchdown, NC State.
I know this offense had some question marks coming into the year with respect to who would be catching touchdowns in the offense. I think they may have found their guy. This guy had a TD in their first game. He has another one here. Right now, he's been a matchup problem for opposing defenses.
Almost ready to kick it away after scoring the touchdown. He'll take the return, try to get better field position. The Cornhuskers ready to go back to work on offense. Boy, David, they would love to stack another touchdown on top of that last drive.
And this offense did such a good job on the last drive. Everything in rhythm, moved the ball down the field, didn't make those mistakes, Jesse, and they need to do it again on this one.
Yeah, you're right. They had the defense on their heels. You wonder what sort of communication was going on that sideline. What sort of changes were they able to make, because they got to stop the bleeding right now.
2nd and 10, he'll throw again. Got rid of it in a hurry, but he couldn't find his man. It's incomplete. come to the line facing 3rd and long from the 25. Dropping back, it's Dell. He wants to take the top off. And that ball is hauled in inside the 35. And the defense couldn't corral him, and he took it all the way. Touchdown, Nebraska!
Quarterback's abilities to read the field is huge, and also the anticipation, the timing. To be able to throw the football, Jesse, and hit a guy in stride so he can get run after the catch and get in the end zone, that was a nice job by the quarterback.
Yeah, it's critical, Dave. And listen, a lot of times, touchdown passes aren't thrown into the end zone. You got to read the coverage, hit the open guy, and let him do the rest.
He'll start the return inside his 5. Smashes through the tackle. And he did a good job bobbing and weaving and finding a little bit of running room on that return. North Carolina State has it back in the offense, headed to the field. The way this game started, you feel as if you have to score a touchdown every time you have it, and now we'll see if they can respond.
Yeah, and I wonder how much pressure that puts on the offense. Jesse, like, you know this is back and forth, and I got to score, and every possession matters so much. What does that do to you as a quarterback?
Well, it puts a lot more pressure on you for sure to feel like I got to make every 3rd down throw. If guys are open vertically down the field, I got to hit them too. We can't let our serve get broken.
Throws to the tight end. The freshman just a little too much on that one.
But you got to love that if you're on defense, because you were able to affect the quarterback with pressure, and you only rushed 3 guys. Well done.
Wants to throw on 3rd down. Got out of trouble, got rid of it. He's right on target. And there was lots of space as he gets it to the 39-yard line. NC State with the 1st and 10 here. He wants to throw. Looking down the middle. And they dialed up a shot play, but they couldn't hook up.
And the offensive coordinator here is really trying to stay aggressive and take a shot. Obviously, the offense couldn't click on that one. But later in the game, if I'm this offense, I'm continuing to stay aggressive. Keep the foot down on the gas pedal.
Looking for a physical attack from the gun.
And the running back didn't get much there. Nice job on the defense. You can tell they're focused in on this running back, on this run game, being physical, getting knockbacks, and limiting his carries.
If they can convert here, that type of play can really give you a shot of momentum. Trying to move the sticks on 3rd down through the air. And the incomplete pass will bring up 4th down.
3rd and short in college football today, you see so much more pass than you used to. The offense stays aggressive, and I think they stay aggressive because they know they're in field goal range. They got that 3 in their back pocket.
And now on 4th down, they'll try a field goal. And he's going to have to get into this football. This is a 53-yard attempt. Between the uprights, it's good. And with that field goal, they now have the lead. So after putting 3 on the board, the kickoff team is out there ready to boot it away. He'll return it. Pulled down at the 18, and the decision to bring it out of the end zone was not a good one. Time dwindling away as they try to put points on the board right before the half. Running back goes in motion. Little touch pass to the receiver. They needed to find enough space and get it moving forward, and they're up to the 22. We've got a timeout in the waning seconds of the half. Maybe a chance to get off a couple more plays. Halfway there on first down, it's 2nd and 5. To the air, it's Dell. They're bringing heat. He can't find his man, and the clock stops with 6 seconds left.
Well, this defense felt coming into the game that if he was going to try to throw from the pocket, they could get to him and affect his accuracy, and they did on that last play.
Just enough time for one final play of the half. Here's the snap, ready to cut one loose. Pressure coming. Using his legs, keeping his eyes downfield. Finally run out of bounds, but he has this offense rolling with a first down. First half in the books. Time now to join Kevin Connors in our halftime update. The Huskers will kick it off to start the second half. Just unloaded on that kickoff. Don't have to worry about a return on a kick like that. They'll bring it out to the 25. NC State sending the offense back onto the field. He's going to pass. Working that left side now. And the defense had that one well covered. Just a short game there.
Well, it's important in this game this offense gets the running back involved out in the perimeter in space where he can do some damage. That time they got it to him throwing the football. He picked up a couple of yards, but it gives the defense something to think about.
Linebackers moving, trying to confuse the quarterback. He wants to pass it on 2nd down. He's going to fire deep. Snatches it on the right. And they are pushing the ball down the field. A big pickup on that one, and the tackle is finally made. So that big play changes the complexion of things. It's 1st and 10 just outside the 30. Looking to move it through the air. Flips it out to the back. And he tried to string out that run, but there was nowhere to turn it upfield, and he's forced out of bounds for a loss. And now on 2nd down for this offense. The aerial assault continues. Quarterback doing what he does best. He can move. And this one's not working. He'll just throw it away.
Like the job by the defense there in coverage. They took every option away from the quarterback. He was outside of the pocket, nowhere to go with it, so they forced the incompletion throw.
They line up with some serious work to do if they want to convert this one. On 3rd down, going up top. He lofts it high and deep down the left side. Touchdown, North Carolina State! And they add 6 more to the board with that trip to the house.
This guy is officially a problem. His 2nd receiving touchdown of the game. Nice job by the offense. Dude, if I've got a matchup I like, continue to pick at it until they stop it.
And the extra point will tack another one onto this lead. And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
All right, guys, want to update you on a game that went final moments ago. Texas A&M overcame a sloppy start and just put the finishing touches on a notable road win. And to pick yourself up and dust yourself off away from College Station, these Aggies got to be thrilled with this result. 60 minutes of football and a convincing outcome. And certainly a game with implications far beyond just the standings, fellas.
And Kevin Connors keeping an eye on everything all over the country. Sounds like they had a good one there. And here comes the Nebraska offense back onto the field. The deficit here is just 10 points, David, so a chance to answer here.
Plenty of time left in this football game. No need to panic. This offense just has to put a couple drives together. And listen, the defense will get this back and get some stops, Palmer, and get you the football.
And I think here too, David, you have an opportunity to keep the pressure on the opponent. Yeah, they just went down and scored, but you score here, and this game's still tight. You keep their feet to the fire, so an opportunity here to keep applying that pressure.
Receiver on the move gets the touch pass. They're able to get him stopped just shy of the first down marker. And this offense just can't afford not to get the first down here. Already trailing big, and the clock is not their friend. Just gets rid of it to the running back underneath. And he'll get it up to the 38. It'll be a first down.
I like the running back there on the route, the patience he showed, really setting it up. Got to the defender, was able to put his foot in the ground, get some separation, catch it, and turn upfield for the first.
Here's the handoff. They bring him down, and he's going to lose a yard on that one. That linebacker saw the express lane right to the ball carrier.
And a great job by the defensive line getting some push, making them use their resources on him. Linebacker comes free, Grimmer making the backfield for a tackle for a loss.
Back to throw, it's Dell. And he dropped it. It looked for all the world like that would be a catch, and he just got too excited.
You see the tight ends nowadays in football, they're just so athletic and they can do so many different things. And right here, this wasn't one of them that we want to brag about. He had a chance to drag across the field and make a catch, but that thing hit him right in the midst, and he just dropped it.
A 3rd and long coming up here. From the gun, wants to pass. Shoots it to the left. And this is going to be incomplete on 3rd down.
Every defense in the country talks about getting offenses in predictable 3rd and long situations where I can bring on more speedsters and I know the pass is coming so I can have more success.
Hauls it in, looking for space. They'll get down and put a stop to the return at about the 28-yard line. North Carolina State has it back on the offense, headed to the field. Jesse looking to take it down the field for back-to-back touchdowns.
I think it's really important for them moving forward, too, to have a lot of balance, right? You want to be able to keep this defense guessing, Paul.
Yeah, and you got me searching for answers after that last drive. You stack another drive on top of this, their defense's heads are going to be spinning all over the place.
2nd down coming up. They'll go to the ground. He breaks a tackle and works it to the 40-yard line. That'll be a first down.
Man, that was a good run, but it was almost even better. Great job by the offense. Keep the running game going. You get big chunks like this. Not only was that a big chunk, it also looked like it could have gone for more.
He'll come out throwing on 1st down. And the timing just a hair off.
On the throwback. It's 2nd down.
Now on 2nd down after the incompletion. From the gun, running back on the move. Only a couple there, and now staring at 3rd and 8. They line up, and it is a long way to the sticks from here. On 3rd and long, he has to throw for it. Complete. Nice pickup there. Gets him the first down and sets him up at the 45-yard line.
This is exactly why third down is practiced every single day. Third and short, third and medium, third and long. It's money down for a reason. You got to lock in. Great success by the offense so far on third down.
Swings it out to his running back. On the move is the 30. And he'll go out of bounds, and this aerial attack just continues to carve this defense into tiny slices. Wolfpack will have 1st and 10. The lone back's got it. Got some room, headed to the goal line. He'll get that one all the way down to the 4-yard line before he stops.
First down, you know you always want to establish the running game. How about this offense? Nothing fancy. Run the football, be physical, get a big game.
They'll dial up the run on 1st and goal. And he takes it in for the score. Touchdown, Wolfpack. Offense gets the job done again. You want to build that cushion as we get deeper into the second half.
Man, it makes it easy, doesn't it? You start getting up by a couple possessions, making the offense very predictable on the other side. Great job by the offense extending their lead.
And the extra point was good. About to kick it away after scoring the touchdown.
Nebraska, 14.
From inside his own 15, let's see how far he can get. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. The Cornhuskers ready to go back to work on offense. After giving up that score, now it's incumbent on this offense to kind of get a back and forth going, Jesse, in this game.
They got to put some points on the board here. There's obviously a lot of football to go, so it's not necessarily panic time just yet, but I'm getting the ball into the hands of my best playmakers on this drive.
I hear you, Jesse, but not panic time. Have you seen my defense? I mean, I'm not trusting them to get a lot of stops, so it puts a lot of pressure on this offense.
That last incompletion leaves them with 2nd and 10 from the 21. Buys a little time with his feet. Gets away. Nice run there. Picks up a few, and they'll force him out of bounds.
And I think this is important for this defense. This will be a big key in the football game. Like, I got to limit the damage from that guy. Because that's a QB that's dynamic, and he can make so many big plays. I got to string him out. I got to make him get to the sideline. But I will say this. I do want to hit him at the end of the runs. I don't want to let him out of bounds and let him get free carries. I want it to be physical.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter of play. The score, NC State 31, Nebraska 14.
Now facing a 3rd down as they line up after the break. Looking for a man. It's Dell. He's got it. Good call, good execution as they move the chains, and they have a 1st down at the 38.
This defense better not blink. I know they've got a lead here in the 4th quarter, but just look at who they're going against. This quarterback is one of the best in the nation. They cannot rest on their laurels. Someone's going to have to make a play.
It's 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Quick pass on the jet motion. And a nice run there before the defense finally makes the stop.
And the defense, you hold your breath. When this receiver has the football out in space, you have got to make sure you're playing with outstanding pursuit. Nice job there, but as this game goes on, they've got to keep an eye on this guy and make sure they know where he is at all times.
I think Jesse and Reese could call offensive plays for any team if they're having this much success on the ground. It starts with the ground game, right? Like, you can chew up these kind of plays, then I can play action later on and take shots, but right now...
He's running free down the middle. Touchdown, Huskers! And once he found open space, the band might as well start playing.
Man, find your weapons. Nice job by the quarterback. Find the running back out of the backfield. He catches it and does the rest. Walks into the end zone for the touchdown.
And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Gentlemen, let's take a look at what's happening in a terrific top 15 matchup. USC has just had no answers today. You should see what the Trojan greats are saying on social media right now. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, talk about not safe for work. They're trailing by 24 to Alabama. We'll circle back. If anything big happens, you should know about it.
And how about that one? Kevin will be keeping an eye on everything going on elsewhere. If they're going to pull off this big rally, they'll need to get this one back. They line up for the onside kick. Oh, the offense averts absolute disaster by falling on that fumble.
Yeah, and a great job by the receiving team. When you see the football kick, man, you got to be smart how fast it's coming, if I'm ready to catch it, if it needs to go to the net. Nice job being organized, seeing it, and executing well.
NC State sending the offense back onto the field. The give. And a good, solid pickup before the defense cuts him down.
It's a point in the game, I think, as a coaching staff, where you really challenge your offensive line to go win the football game, right? We've got to lead late. We're going to run the football. And the defense and everybody in the stadium knows that's what's going to happen. Can we run the ball down their throats and impose our will? That's what this offense right now is trying to do.
Right back to the well. They bring him down, and he's going to lose a yard on that one.
And that's a great play by the defensive end. The best athletes on the field play defensive end. You can ask anybody. Yes, I agree. Jesse agrees. See, they agree with me. Same thing. But you watch them get off the football, make the play. That's why you put your athletes there.
They'll snap it from the gun on third down. That's it, 5. Oh, they really could have used that catch there. Physical pass defense. It brings up a fourth down.
Nice job in coverage on that third and short. Defensively taking all the throws and options away for the quarterback, and now we're setting up fourth down.
NC State to bring the punt team onto the field. He ought to be able to use this first punt to pin him deep. Excellent coverage that time. Didn't give him any room to set up a big return. And here comes the Nebraska offense back onto the field. That last drive, an absolute aerial assault for the touchdown, Jesse.
It was a nice job in play calling too, David, just giving the quarterback some easy looks and reads so he could go out and execute.
And he knew exactly where to go with the football. Everything looked really, really easy. He was hot. The ball was coming out of his hands. The defense better do something different.
Trying to get a rhythm in the passing game, now on second down. Trying to make that rush think on the draw play here. He is tackled, but it'll be a fresh set of downs.
All right, defense, that's what we can't do. We can't give up this many chunk yards on the ground. Got to commit more guys to the line of scrimmage. Got to get those running backs on the ground. That's way too easy.
Fires to the wideout. Pass on the way. It's picked off. Takes it the other way. Touchdown, Wolfpack! And this defense coming up with points of their own. What an interception return.
And that just might do it. Man, offense needed points badly. Defense comes up with the big interception, takes it all the way back just to pad their lead a little bit and make this game almost out of reach.
And that extra point is a big one as they now have a 3-possession, 17-point lead in the fourth.
38, Nebraska, 21.
They'll kick it off and send that defense right back out there to try to score again after the pick six. Fair catch called for and made. Cornhuskers ready to go back to work on offense. Dropping back, it's Dell. Fires to the right. And he just overshot his man and threw it out of bounds, incomplete.
It's a nice adjustment by the defense here. With a big lead in the game, you're putting extra DBs on the field, knowing the offense has to throw to get back in this one in the fourth quarter. So your best cover guys on the field, and they force an incompletion on the last one.
He's taking the shot. And they can't hook up, going for the big play on second down. Now it's third down.
At this point in the game in the fourth quarter, it is going to be tough for this offense to get some completions here, because now, trailing by this much, the defense is expecting pass, and they're putting a whole bunch of extra DBs on the field to help them out in coverage.
Throws for the tight end. For the third straight play, the pass falls incomplete.
And now such a tough situation late in this game. You're trailing, but now it's 4th and long. Like, it's one thing if it's 4th and short. This makes it even more difficult. You got to have something dialed up you feel really great about.
On 4th down, they'll throw for it. Finds him out of the backfield. He's run out of bounds, but a big play on that one, and it'll be a first down.
I'll tell you, you cannot count this team out because of who's playing quarterback. When this guy's in the game, it's never over. Yeah, they're trailing here in the fourth quarter, but this dude can put up points quickly.
The Cornhuskers will snap it on 1st and 10. Back to the air one more time. Quickly to the tight end.
Nice quick throw there. It's so important for quarterbacks to be able to find a rhythm and to be comfortable and confident. You want to just get the ball out quickly, make it an accurate and easy throw. And you can tell that these two guys, they rep that play in practice all the time, and it's now showing up here on the field.
And, you know, big chunks like this don't happen unless you commit to the run game. You got to get those big boys up front into the game, understanding I want to knock people off the football, create some holes like you do here for my running back, make the game easy.
Wants to throw on 1st down. Unloads to the wideout. That pass is incomplete.
The offense has lost the element of surprise here, right? Fourth quarter, they're trailing by a lot. They're trying to go 4 verticals, but the defense knows it's coming. And they do a nice job in the back end, making sure that falls incomplete.
Back to throw, it's Dell. Got his man in the middle. Strikes first, delivers the punch, and works his way to the 31.
Well, and here's the problem offensively. Because you're trailing by so much so late in the game, the defense now is going to be playing big zone coverages, and they're going to allow you to throw the ball underneath in the middle of the field, rally to make a tackle, and bleed the clock. It's going to be hard now for this offense to claw their way back in this one.
They're going to go to the air on 3rd and short. Got the back over the middle. Put it right on him. Sweet play, good pickup, and they'll move the chains with the first down. They're looking to pass from the red zone. Got rid of it quickly, but it's incomplete. Long drive continues as the offense keeps working the ball down the field. He's back to throw on 2nd down. Got it in the middle, it's Royer.
A nice job by the QB there, timing out that drag throw. It's zone coverage, so he's got to make sure he gets it to his receiver in a window to allow him to catch the ball and then turn it upfield.
3rd down conversions are a huge stat, and this one would be a doozy if they can pull it off. Gets it all the way down to the 2-yard line. He was fighting for that end zone. The defense uses their 2nd timeout of the half as they try to get their act together. And the Huskers trying to cash it in on 1st and goal.
Get set.
He'll set up to throw. It falls incomplete. He was trying to find his man for 6.
Well, that's just a great play by the defender and great timing. It was the hit that forced that incompletion.
Got stopped on 1st down. They'll try it again from the 2. To throw, it's Dell. Unleashes to the end zone. Touchdown, Cornhuskers! And they'll put that scoreboard operator to work and put 6 on the board.
Nice job by the offense going down the field, putting points on the board, but you're still down a couple possessions. You still need some good things to happen. You need your kicker to go over there and get warmed up. We need an onside. We need to score some points. We need a lot of things to go right to win this football.
Lining up for the PAT. And with the extra point, every little bit counts as they get closer. We check in with Kevin Connors. What's going on, Kevin?
All right, guys, a little update on what else is happening in college football this weekend. Pitt is delivering an offensive masterpiece so far. They've got to be loving this in the Steel City. They're up by 31 over the Astronauts. We've got our eye on things here and everything else going on right now, and any updates, you'll see them here, guys.
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping an eye on it for us. They weren't able to get that one off. It'll be a delay of game. A first down for the offense. The officials offer the deal, and the coach accepts it. They will take the penalty. They'll try to keep this clock moving on the ground. Snowed under by the defense.
I think a big key in this team's success today has been their ability to run the football. They've been able to just hand it off and go churn out yards. They've had this defense on their heels all game long. It's given them a big cushion in this game so far. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Handoff to the single back. And the defense snows him under after a very short gain. Plenty of fireworks in this one, a lot of points. They always talk about having the chalk last, and it seemed like whoever was on offense had the last laugh.
And it's amazing how much offenses has just boomed in college football. So good, so many ways to hurt you, and you saw both of these offenses put on a show today, Jess.
Dave, we talked to both of these coaching staffs, and their defensive coordinators were losing sleep all week. They knew this was going to be a tough task ahead of them. So much speed, so much firepower on both of these offenses. And man, we saw that here today.
That's going to do it for us from here. For Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.